Hello and welcome to another episode of the Rock the Ripple podcast. I'm your host, Naraka.
Come on, what are you doing? So, I don't know. I mean, so rude today.
We don't say action. It's not going to work.
1, 2, 3.
Rock the Ripple. Rock the Ripple. Rock the Ripple. The Rock the Ripple podcast with Narita McInnes.
Let's do this. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Rock the Ripple podcast. I'm your host, Narita McInnes. It is so awesome to be here with you as always. And today I have two awesome guests that are joining me. It's like deja vu, like I've caught up with them in the last 2 days or something. It is the one and only Dale Holmes and Madeleine Doherty. Welcome to the show, you guys.
Great to be back.
Okay, so just so you know why we're laughing is because I had these guys on just a couple of days ago and I didn't press record. So I thought, well, that's a really great excuse to catch up again. Maybe I'll do it again so we can just keep catching up. But no, I got these guys on. They're the co-hosts of Sky to Earth Conference and the Sky to Earth podcast. They've got so much awesome stuff going on. And I really wanted to get them on today to talk about all of this stuff. So guys, before we kick in, how you doing? How's everything? How's life?
Oh, great.
Life is good.
Life's
I
good?
just want to say, like, the last recording, like, it may have been the best recording we've ever done. So,
You had to say that, didn't you?
and it's like, it will never be shared with the world, but
I was thinking we had some really good
chats.
chats, and I was like, no one's ever, maybe, the information's just too good.
Yeah, the world wasn't ready for it yet.
The world wasn't ready for it. So,
clearly my brain was not working that day,
Anyway,
but that's okay.
We can't rehash too much. We'll see.
No, it was good, but I know today's going to be even better because, everyone is going to be here for it. So, of course. But no, one thing we did chat about was the Sky to Earth podcast that you guys are running. And I did remember you saying, Dale, that you have hit number 34 in the charts with the show. In education, I think you said it was. I mean, you guys are doing a phenomenal job. Do you want to talk a bit about the podcast?
Oh, look, we're not all about the numbers, but like
Yeah.
we're not all about the numbers. Sends it to me every time he
oh, right. I'm like so monitoring the numbers. No, like I did say to Maddie, because I got like a pop-up on Spotify. I'm like, it's one day, it's like, you're ranked 48th in education. I'm like, fuck yeah. Like, and, so I sent it to Maddie, and then we've got down to like 34, and I said, well, if we hit top 20, I said we're doing a live show.
Yeah.
I was thinking I was talking to my sister yesterday because she's apparently looking for a venue to do line dancing, boot scooting on like a Saturday night, so people can like go and mingle and stuff, and it's not just like people miss out on Friday nights, and it's not just in a hall, like people can actually go and
it's really just for Heidi, really, let's be fair.
Yeah, I think it's for Heidi, but I think it's for Georgia too. And I think, if I was there, it'd be for me as well. But it'd be cool if we did a live show and then everyone went line dancing. How fun would that be?
Yeah, that would be a good backup. Yeah.
I know.
Line dancing, live.
Do you know Heidi has my flanny?
Which your flanny? Is it a really great flanny?
Sorry, this completely off. But yeah, she drove me home and I left my flannelette shirt in the car.
And now she owns it.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so glad you said flanny. Yeah, I was
stressed. Not funny.
Yeah. That's just so funny, Dale.
Let's keep it on topic, man.
Keep it on topic. It's the Sky to Earth comedy show. No, really, it is such a good podcast, though. You guys have so many awesome guests on there. You've just and everyone just loves to just chat with you guys, and you're always just bringing in something different from everyone. So, I mean, is that what you're finding as well? Like, are you really enjoying that part of it all?
Yeah, I like that we've gone with Sky to Earth, right? The name that I came up with a while ago. But the reason why, apart from my my ego obviously liking that we went with that name, is that it's like from everything from Sky to Earth we're discussing. So there's like nothing off limits. We haven't narrowed in on like a certain topic or genre or theme or anything like that, which I think is really cool. So that's awesome. Like even like a couple of episodes ago, we did talk about like dating and you know, like it was completely off topic of what we looked at, you know, talked about previously. And we can just, you know, we could do that, right? We're in the topic of education. We can kind of cover everything, bring whoever on. So that's been cool. Because obviously, like Dale and I are always kind of like moving with, you know, what's happening and talking about different things and applying past awareness of different stuff onto, you know, new themes and events that come up. So it's cool to be able to like not really have any limits with that. So that's been cool. And then it just, you know, we can bring in the average Joe talking about anything really. Like, yeah, it's gonna be cool.
So good. It's so good. I love that. Sky to Earth, it encapsulates everything. I've always thought that's a freaking awesome name. So I love that. So did you download that? Did that come to you just like when you're out in the bush or something?
That came to me really clearly on a walk when I was around the Pilbara. It was probably like 2020. And I don't even know what I was. Oh, that's right. Yeah, I was trying to think of a name for the astrology course that I was putting out. And yeah, I actually remember the walk so clearly because the cockatoos were going berserko, like absolutely crazy. I don't know like what it's like down where you are, Narita, but like even when I was near Rocky the other day, it was the same by the river. They just go wild. And I really miss that because I don't really get it here. But in the Pilbara, they literally, all you can hear is cockatoos. They're like screeching. And yeah, I just had it like drop in. I was like, oh, I love that. And so that's what I went with.
Yeah, it's so good. I love those moments where you just have those clear downloads and you're just like, yep, that is it. And
and you just feel it. You're like, yeah.
Well, you know, like Mads did, she had a bit of a go at me because I said I would do a Sky to Earth podcast Instagram page, and she's like, call it STE podcast. And I'm like, it was like taken, like I couldn't get it up. And then I saw Sky to Earth podcast. She's like, what?
I was trying to streamline it.
She's like, what the fuck did you call it Sky to Earth podcast?
Didn't swear at you. Come on.
Oh, it's so good. So the Instagram page is great too because you guys have all these snippets on there too, like just of different grabs from different videos, and you can see like the mix of everything going on, which is awesome. Yeah,
there's such a mix. Yeah, it's pretty cool. And this next conference that we're doing as well, like that, there's quite a mix, and I'm really excited for this one. I reckon we're going to be diving more into like the psychological elements of different things. I think the discussions are going to be pretty awesome. We've got like an incredible lineup actually.
Yes,
like
you do.
read it out last time.
Yeah, let me read it out again. You got to let me read it again because it's so freaking phenomenal. Okay, one moment please. We've got Will Keller, Clinton Walker, Stephen and Evan Strong, David Whitehead, Anneke Lucas, Ole Dammegard, Cathy O'Brien, Tom Barnett, and Dale Mads. I mean, far out. What a phenomenal lineup. That is so good.
I know.
Aren't I presenting one, Mads?
Mm-hmm. You are? You definitely are this time? Awesome. Yeah. No, that'd be great. I mean, all of those people, like when I first saw the video that you guys put up for who was speaking this time, I was like, oh my gosh, this is like a star-studded lineup. Like all of these people are so phenomenal, and they're like I think Dale, you said it last time we were chatting, like experts in their field that have done so much and really honed in on you know what they're all about and really looked at those topics, and we all get to learn from them. I mean, that's just phenomenal. You want to talk a bit about the get?
Like every time we've gone to get them, I think we've kind of like trusted that we'll get who we're meant to get, and they, although they're all different, they kind of do create a picture that the groupings of all of them. Oh, and obviously we have there's a couple we've had for multiple, but I mean, like a lot of the ones we reached out to get, it's weird. Some of these people, they're quite hard to get in contact with, but if you know the right people, then there's some like absolute anomalies that are near impossible to get. But I think it's amazing how accessible some of these people are that you wouldn't think. I don't know, like, you know, Adrian D'Amico and stuff, like he's had like Robert Kennedy Jr. and he's had like some serious big, and I was like, how do you get them? And he goes, you just email them.
Well, they want to reach out to people, you know, they want to reach people. So it's,
so it's amazing. Some of like, you know, not to put status on these type of people, but you know, like they do have very good standing because of their history and research and what they stand for, that they are people that are, that are highly desired to talk to. And, like these are like some of the best people in the world to have these discussions with. And it's all about expanding our understanding of everything. Like we'll say in this last chat when we met, it's like we're so much the students in this as much as everyone else that's attending. So yeah, I'm just excited to see what comes out at the end of it. Because it's I was trying to, there was some biblical quote I was listening to yesterday, and I was talking about like Revelations times and stuff, and that like truth is being revealed, and you can see it everywhere, and you're seeing like the explosion in consciousness is just unreal. So like I know at the end of this there's going to be another layer that we all understand, and then it's so cool when you share it with everyone else, because everyone else is in for the ride, and then they all start seeing these layers as well.
Yeah, and then you can have more conversations with people, because that was one of the things with the conference. Like, it's people that are sort of aware of certain things you can have those conversations with, but people that kind of haven't maybe, looked into other areas or kind of joined dots around certain things, there's only so much you can chat to about. So there's almost a selfish thing there. It's like, I've got more people to talk to about this stuff that have an awareness of all these different levels as well, which is really cool. But it's going to be interesting because we've got Clint, and he, like, topics are kind of endless there. Like, it depends kind of the questions we ask as to where he goes with things. And we usually hear, some kind of story that will usually have many layers that will come up, throughout. And then we've got Will's come on quite a few times. And it's kind of like, he's going to be speaking into like balance and living in homeostasis on the earth, which is going to be really interesting, because then from there, it's going to be like, we're kind of diving into, I guess, how this dark occult are kind of controlling and manipulating things and keeping us out of balance. So we're going to hear, about, we're going to be talking about false flags and mind control and these psychological techniques and the ways in which they kind of keep us out of balance. Like, it's going to be really cool. And then Evan and Stephen Strong, they obviously have all that information about, where a lot of these ancient teachings that the dark occult use, they're kind of revealing and tracing it back to here in Australia. So like, it's going to be, they're weaving, I don't even know what's going to come out of it, but it's going to be very interesting, I think. And just even the timing of it, astrologically, like last month was insane. So it's, and the flow and effect of that, like, it's just going to be really interesting what also comes up while we're also in the conference, because then those topics can be spoken about too. Like, yeah, it'll be cool. I'm really keen for it.
Yeah, I'm so excited for it. And I the thing is, there's always layers. And I love that you guys always say, because you're always removing more, aren't you? And then seeing things from different perspectives. And I think, like what you guys always say too, is like, you have people on and you might not always agree with everything they say, but it gets you to thinking different ways. And that's what's so bloody good about it, because you'll hear something and you might, actually, I never thought of it that way. Or, okay, now I can see how that person sees something. Or, like, it's not rigid. It's like, it's so expansive.
Well, layers is just having an open mind, because once you're closed off, because you will understand something and you are correct in what you understand, but there's other layers and aspects to that. So if you're cut off to a formulated dogmatic viewpoint on something, then we've all done this. And I did like a decode on that. Like, I just listened to like some of these old songs the other day, and like songs I'd listened to a million times, and I'm like, oh, I see that song as something else now. And then people will get on and argue, no, that song's not about this, that it's about this. And then I'm like, oh, I can see, yeah, 100% it is about what you think it is too. But they'd be like, it's only about this.
Yeah.
That's like the Bible, right?
Yeah,
astrology. Yeah.
Well, that's something you guys said too. And I think maybe I heard it somewhere, I can't remember, but like, being able to hold different points of view all in at the one time, like being able to hold the paradox of everything, like that's sort of what you got to be able to do, isn't it? It's like saying, was there a quote around that, or it was just, it's just that, isn't it?
This
really?
Madeleine's quote.
I think Yeah, I think, no, it wasn't my quote. Dave Whitehead said it. I think he said it was like the mark of a genius is being able to hold to simultaneously hold two opposing viewpoints at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you can see, because it challenges the psyche, because I mean, you've known that, like when something comes in, it challenges something that you believe to your core, like you fundamentally believe something, you're like, hang on, this other thing is starting to make a bit of sense too, but that can't be true because this is true. And it's like, well, hang on, well, maybe there's a middle ground, or maybe both can be true. Or and I guess that's like what the whole conference is about. It's like, well, it's almost like taking in all this information to the point where you're like, fuck, that's a lot of stuff. And then going, okay, what's the core message? How does all these things interrelate? And I've found that with the last two ones, that's like I was saying to Mads, so like I just don't, I'm so open to knowing that I just don't know much anymore. Like, and I've spent so many years trying to figure out the truth and who I am, and like what we're doing here and what this experience is, and even so much deeper than that. But and then you just come back to these core things, and then not believing in any inevitability or outcome or finite anything, and just being open to all possibilities. So it's like it's just continuing on that journey. It's just never ending.
Yeah. Well, you're saying
But being at peace too with where you are.
yes.
Like you don't need to know everything either, and like bringing like balance to things, like, okay, like just real simple things like getting back to nature and like going to the core message. Like when I was freaking out the other day, Mads was like, she just told me like little things that I know to be true, but you need to hear it from other people at times, or you need to hear it from a different perspective.
Yeah. Yeah,
My
you
sister
do.
would call that co-regulating. She brought that up last night in our
Co-regulating.
in our Ignite course. Yeah, she was talking about it. We were going through emotional resilience resilience and emotional regulation. She brought the science. She's a real Gemini.
Right.
She brought all the info. It was really cool.
That's awesome.
Co-regulating.
Yeah, you spoke a bit about the Ignite course. Like, so that's something you're running at the moment as well. So helping people using natural law, stepping into their power of being able to show up online and that sort of stuff as well. Is that sort of what it's all about? Or
yeah, it's kind of like well, I'm doing it with my sister, so it's sort of blending like her understanding, because she did medical science, so she sort of has an understanding of that side of things, and it's just been really cool because we've had lots of conversations where my understanding around things she can sort of confirm on a scientific level, which is pretty cool. But yeah, it sort of came about from, I guess, more people wanting to spend more time, researching, creating balance, and not working, as a slave to the system, and finding ways to be able to support themselves in doing that, and creating, creating like a value exchange with, the ecosystem around them, where they're going to be supported, but they're also obviously, providing some kind of service, like in some way, shape or form, that's going to help them in whatever way. I mean, everyone comes in for a different reason. Some people are literally wanting to dedicate their lives more to sharing more, reading and sharing the truth, and some people are just wanting more balance and not wanting to like work for, I guess, these larger corporations and government agencies and things that are essentially connected to what's keeping us enslaved. So I just decided to do a 7-week course on that, and we kind of dive into astrology, and kind of I use a fire analogy and kind of compare that to the hero's journey, and how you can compare and how you can kind of correlate that with your own journey, and also journey in business or entrepreneurship or putting yourself out there. A lot of people want to speak out more and they want to share more, but they obviously have all of these different blocks. So we go through different things around next week we're going through like unconscious goals that we have, so that kind of keep us out of congruence. So we might think a certain way, but we end up doing something differently to what we're actually, we have in our mind. So we're out of congruence there. So just different things like that. And then using the chart to be able to use it as a tool to be able to like dive into like self-exploration around different things, like why we might be blocked, why we might do certain things, why we might have a certain pendulum swing when something happens. Like some people have like like, you know, they might put themselves out there and they just completely want to contract and hide and cut off. And yeah, like even talking about, like we talked about digital wellness as well last night, how some people will go hard with like taking in information and learning things, and then they're like, I'm deleting all my apps, I'm getting rid of Instagram, I'm going offline. And like how that can actually become a continual pendulum swing in their life, not just with their relationship with social media, but food, you know, their family, their partner, whatever it might be. And speaking about how when you're aware of these different swings that you have, you find balance with it using the natural laws and using your awareness through astrology and things like that. So yeah, it's been good. I was actually thinking the other day I need to bring Dale on for a call to go through the hero's journey with people, because that's what we're
I was going to say bring me on as a student. You need to listen to this.
Oh well, maybe no, because we go through
I would love to do that, because I was thinking of like incorporating a bit of that into like something else for our thing. But yeah,
what do you mean?
Into the conference, bringing
some I'm just thinking of like
like the hero's journey, going through the like, are you going to present on the hero's journey?
I mean, like aspects of that, but I could just do like full breakdown of it. That'd be fun.
That would be really cool. Yeah, I was thinking that, like, even for the next one or the one, if we do another one, because if people really get that, because we kind of go through it week to week and I explain the different part of the hero's journey, but I use the fire analogy mostly because I'm just in on the
talk a bit about that. Can you talk a bit about the fire?
Yeah, we haven't heard that one before, didn't we?
No, well, the fire analogy.
This is actually awesome, but I have to pretend I've heard it for the first time. Yeah. No, because I was
did I explain it properly last time? I don't even.
No, it was good. It was
really
I liked
good.
it.
Yeah.
So it's just correlating with the hero's journey. So it's kind of like the first steps, obviously the call, like that original. You're in the ordinary world, and the ordinary world is essentially you don't have a fire, so there's no fire, there's no light, right? And you're kind of in that space of, you know, questioning, do I light a fire? Where am I going to light the fire? And it's essentially you're drawing the circle first. So you're drawing the circle in your mind, you're literally finding a spot and you're lighting the fire. And that's essentially like that part before the call to adventure or answering the call. And then the call to adventure is going and collecting and kindling. And I think I shared on the last time we chatted, it was like, you don't know what you're going to expect when you go out, like, you know, I'm looking out like into the bush now. Like if I went out into the bush now to collect kindling, like it could be snakes, it could be, you know, there could be like a larger piece of wood that's really going to help me down the track. Like it's like, you don't know where you're going to go. You might find a better spot for the fire. So it's kind of like, you've got to be open. And then I kind of use that analogy with when you start business, when you start putting yourself out there, you know, for instance, you might start sharing about a certain topic that you're interested in and find that you connect with someone that knows something else, and you get completely opened up to a new way of looking at things. And, you know, suddenly you're sharing about, so you know what I mean? So it's like comparing that to different things. And then also the part of the hero's journey where, you know, that's kind of like that the initial action point where it's like things start to heat up and you start to you learn different parts of yourself even in that process. And then I go through the whole thing. So then when you come back, obviously you're then that's when you I think it's like crossing the threshold, I'm pretty sure, is that no, it's not. It's when you meet the tests, allies and enemies. So when you go to light the fire, that's essentially when you start to meet whether is there a lot of wind? Do you have enough kindling? Like, do you have enough knowledge? Do you have enough awareness? Do you have enough courage? Like, that's when you start to understand that. Is there anyone to help? Is there anything that's that's assisting you in that space? And then when it's like going, like crossing the threshold, that's essentially when the fire's lit, and it's like the change. So it's like the change from things being ordinary to things are completely different now that the fire's starting. And then that's when the challenges can take place. Like, so if you've started the fire and it starts to go out, or you don't have enough fuel, it's like you can get into the ordeal where, is your fire about to go out? Is this like, is the rain about to come down? It's like, is it all over, Red Rover, and so on and so forth. And then you obviously
what do you think would be, because this isn't in every hero's journey, but it's in a lot, where they'll have an elixir, so that's like a a relic or an object that is passed through the whole story that comes back at the end. It's almost like a guiding thing, but it's a physical object.
Well, that could be, so if you're going out bush and you're like collecting the kindling, you find a really good like probing stick for your fire.
Yeah.
And it's just like with you to the end, and you're like, you know what, I'm going to use this even when I light the next fire, because it's
and then that can be like the talking stick when you're sitting around a fire that gets passed around. That's
exactly.
so. Do you know what? Like I started watching like some music videos too. I'm telling you, like once you know the hero's journey, like all storytelling is so boring.
Yeah.
But you still you're still
boring.
I remember like my first girlfriend, I used to go to I'd go to the cinema with her, and I'm like, okay, this is gonna happen next. And she's like, how'd you know? I'm like, it's hero's journey. It's the same story. But that's what I've said, like with
Are you a prophet?
because when you understand that like reality that we're living in now is a hero's journey, and depending on where the starting points are in certain characters, it's kind of even easy to predict like some stuff that's going to be happening in the US, because that is like front and stage for the hero's journey, because that is the country that is most projected on the television screen, that you can see where it's going, because it has to follow the blueprint. It's a universal blueprint. But yeah, like even music videos, like they follow this format in a lot of music videos, and that's only so you can tell the whole hero's journey story.
Have you tracked like stock and stuff as well? Because there'd probably be some rhythm to that as well. Bitcoin.
Oh right. Oh,
surely.
No, yeah. Well, but it's follow. Yeah.
Be everything.
I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah.
Market crash.
Yeah, well, they talk about patterns in there, so they watch the spikes and everything, but maybe not referred to as a hero's journey, but I guess it could be, couldn't it?
Yeah, astrologically you can see patterns there, and obviously the entire zodiac is going through the hero's journey too on a grand scale. Yeah. So
it's
the old fire analogy.
I love that. I think it's great because I think you broke it down even more this time, which is awesome. So yeah,
well, it's cool to just use that, and like because we're doing about business and things like that, when people are at certain points they can use that analogy to see like where am I at right now, and also stops people from being in the space of getting stuck, because it's not easy when you work for yourself. Narita, you would know, like and we go through the hero's journey a lot, and if you get stuck in the belly of the beast and end up quitting there, you never get to that reward or the new awareness of yourself or whatever it is that comes with that, that moment of being in the cave, right? So it's cool to just have that awareness, because then you're able to keep moving forward rather than getting stuck and starting again.
Yeah, absolutely.
There you go.
I was just going to say, like, just working for yourself and doing stuff like this that we all do, like, it is like one of the biggest personal development journeys that you go on. And like, being able to bring the awareness of the hero's journey in there. So you do, like, because it's like seasons as well, like nature, isn't it? Like everything is in cycles and seasons. So you got to remember when you're getting stuck, like there's something that's going to happen. Like it's actually a good place to be in, because you will get to the next point, and more stuff will unfold. But if you, like you said, Mads, if you quit there, then you'll never know. You'll never know. So you got to also trust heaps, don't you? Like trust is a big thing.
Yeah, it's like a direct reflection of yourself. That's what I've found. Like and there's no hiding. Like it's like there is no hiding at all. Like you can't just be like, oh, I'm just going to go work for this person. Like, I'll be fine. I'm just going to hide and just not ignore that thing that's coming up for me because the paycheck's coming in 2 weeks, so I'm all good. Like from my employer, do you know what I mean? But it's like if it's you, it's like it's a direct reflection. Like it's all on you, and you've actually got to step up. And sometimes it's very difficult.
Yeah, it is. It takes a lot of courage, doesn't it?
It does.
Yeah. What were you going to say before, Dale? Sorry.
I forgot.
You forgot? Actually something that you were saying, we were talking about the conference, and we talked about some of the guest speakers, and Ole Dammegard, you were talking about some of the things that he's done, which I really feel like would be awesome to hear again, like how he's been in, like been a journalist in wars and all that sort of stuff. Do you?
Yeah, he was, well, he actually was, he originally started he was a journalist. That's like when he was young, he worked for like small newspapers and stuff like that in Sweden. I mean, his whole life story is crazy. Like his dad was in like the Stay Behind movement, or like the Gladio movement, which was, it was like set up by NATO and stuff, but they actually became the group that ended up staging all these false flags and terror attacks all through Europe. So his dad was actually, yeah, it's really deep. Like I mean, he could write 10 life stories, like 10 books on his life story. But yeah, like ultimately he got into the Kennedy assassination, and then he started again, like if you go like Hero's Journey and Universal Blueprints, he started noticing that there was a blueprint to these political assassinations. And then the Swedish Prime Minister was killed, Olof Palme, when he was living there, and he was a journalist. And then he goes, okay, so he's been shot on the way to work. You know, I'm like, sleepy Sweden back in the 80s, like, was the safest place in the world. Like, this would never happen in Sweden. And like, I mean, it's so in depth as to who Olof Palme was, and yeah, it's really, really intricate. But he actually believes that they faked his death. But anyway, when he found out he died, he goes, okay, so if I've been following this blueprint, now that he's died, this should happen next, and this and this and this, and it followed the blueprint, and he was like, oh my God, wow. He goes, it's happening here. Because he thought it was like an American like conspiracy, you know, there was a group in America that was doing this. And then he's like, oh wow, and then so he started digging really deep, and in his research, and him and a number of his friend journalists end up being murdered, and he was getting death threats. So he basically had to flee his home country, and he ended up moving to Spain, and he's in Bali now. Actually, he had to leave Spain as well. So now he lives in Bali. But yeah, I really admire him, because he's someone that is, his dedication to truth, and because his website's called Light on Conspiracies. And so he basically uncovered that there's a global conspiracy, and he was aiming to shine light on it just through truth. And he's just that is what he's an advocate for, is for truth. But yeah, I think I told you the one where he's obviously like, he's like us, I guess, but maybe more an extreme version, that he was always searching for something. He spoke that he went on this trip, like while he was married, he's like, yeah, I'm gonna ride from Sweden to South Africa. That was on a push bike.
As you do.
And yeah, so and then he got to like Africa, and then he realized, didn't know how big the Sahara was, and he basically realized it wasn't going to be obtainable. And then because he's like, Africa's huge. I didn't, because like they kind of lie with the shape of the map of how big Africa is. Like, it's massive. And then he anyway, so he decided that I'm going to ride to India instead. And you know, because it was back in the day, there was no internet and stuff like that. And
was it a push bike or a motorbike?
Push bike, yeah.
It was a push bike.
So he went all through like this, the Swiss Alps and stuff like that.
Wow.
And then yeah, he got to Iran while the war was, the revolution was taking place, and he didn't know. And then when he was over there, he started to, much like David Icke, David Icke said that his whole life was a succession of events that was showing him things in the perfect order that he would understand what was going on, or like almost like the dots, like we're doing in conferences. Their whole life was this series of dots that was showing them stuff in order. And so he got to Iran, and he saw media where they were being paid to hold up like Western countries' flags, like America, and burning them and stuff like that. And they were getting paid. And he saw that this propaganda was getting put out. And then he said the Iranian people were the most beautiful people he'd ever met in that time. And so he started helping them escape the country. And then he spoke about one guy who he brought back to Sweden, and like basically had to do rescue missions. And this guy became like a top surgeon in Sweden. And yeah, it's just like, I mean, like, I think we have to be careful like what we ask him, because like you ask him one question, it'll be like a 2-hour
Oh
answer.
yeah, right. Well, but the timing though of him coming on after what's happened here,
I think we'll keep it to like Pulse Lake, because he's almost he's very much like Rachel Vaughan. Like when I'll send Rachel a picture, and she'll be like, "Oh, did you see this in the bottom left-hand corner?" I'm like, "No, how did?" And I've got another friend like that. this other chick I know, and she's amazing too. Like I'll send her a picture and she just she will spot. Some people are like that, and I think it's, I don't know if it's to do with, like Rachel spoke about, like central heterochromia and like having access to different light spectrums, plus the mind control and stuff that she went through. That, but yeah, Ole's like that too, and he's been well known for spotting these events that happen in the world, and how, as part of revelation of the method that the occult works, that they have to give you clues. So they leave clues in every event for the next one. And yeah, so like his eye for detail so like I'd like to show him some Australian examples and see what he says. Yeah.
Well, because he's the one that you learned the shoes thing from, was it him that you?
Yeah, it's
picked it up
unbelievable.
from? Yeah.
Yeah, well, and yeah, so he he just started noticing for years that anytime there'd be a war or a bombing or, you know, anything, even like political stuff and that, they would position like a shoe in the picture. And he's like, what the fuck's going on? Especially like with these, there'd be like a terror attack and some dude's getting CPR and they've taken their shoes off and they put them right next to them.
Yeah.
And they're usually Nike shoes. Like, yeah, so he started thinking they were actually putting product placement in some of these events. But, you know, there's Masonic reasons behind the shoes, and also like them being used as a trigger, like a mind control trigger. And we saw that even with, you know, this heightened hysteria about domestic violence, that they're just literally they've like gone click enter, let's run the domestic violence thing. And they had like a thing the other day in Martin Place in Sydney, and the whole dedication to domestic violence was represented as a shoe. And so what he's explained is that, you know, you're already putting something that's got heightened emotion, especially when a lot of women have been through abuse, and then you're showing the shoe trigger, that the shoe is harnessing and heightening that emotion. And it's like Pavlov's dog, where he introduced the bell. So the bell is the trigger, and then so basically, I mean, he's done like 4-hour presentations just on shoes.
He's going to be.
It sounds boring, but like, it's really cool.
No,
it's
really
so interesting. Like when I saw that you had him on, and then the timing of everything, I just thought that's so.
Yeah, it had to be, didn't it? It was crazy.
Yeah, it's like what you said before. Like you just trust that the right people, the people who are meant to be on it, are going to be there. Like it's just. Yeah, it's going to be so good. So good.
You know what? I posted this one. It was probably about 10 years ago. I first posted on Facebook, and I've shared a few. And it was like, because he's like a poet and a musician as well. And he wrote this poem, and it's just beautiful. And it was he says it's like my message to the global elite. But it's like 3 paragraphs, and it's just beautiful.
See if you find it, put it on your stories, Dale.
Yeah.
That'd be cool. Yeah, he that's so good. And we've got Anneke Lucas coming on as well, sharing her story. And I think Mads, you said everyone's doing pretty much a presentation this time, and which is sort of has been the case
pretty much
anyway.
everyone, I think. Yeah.
And then Q&A at the end for everyone who's.
Well, that's what we said last chat, didn't we? That the point of the podcast was to have more informal chats, and the conference was for people to directly engage after letting Q&A with presentations. So there's a bit of a difference. It's more formal.
Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, it's informal, but like, it's formal in the sense that they're giving a presentation.
As formal as Dale and I could do.
But that's the thing though, like with the podcast, you listen, but with this, you get to see a presentation, and then you get to interact with everyone. And plus you've also got the freaking phenomenal community of just epic humans, like connecting with each other and bringing in all their goodness as well, which is just awesome.
And the questions that come in are so good too. Like, I think that's the best part, that we're all having these kind of, like, we're all kind of going on this journey. We have these different levels of realization. And so it's cool to have the questions come through, because a lot of, you know, they're just a lot of people in a space. Most people, pretty much everyone in the space, is really, you know, coming from that really balanced place now. And it's like, there is just, the questions are just like straight through, like, what, you know, how does this relate to that? Like, it's just, it's awesome. I think that's the best part about the conference, is that engagement part.
Yeah, I agree. It's just so
Yeah.
and just like different points of view coming in, but just like sparking new things, and like someone will ask one question, then you just go on to
Yeah,
this like this
exactly. Yeah.
role. It's so good.
Yeah,
So good.
exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm so excited too that you've got Cathy O'Brien on there. Like her story is phenomenal. And she is, I mean, she's been around for a long time sharing her story. Like, what do you think she'll be presenting on? Just her story, or more of that?
Well,
Or
yeah, mostly to do with mind control, but
oh,
she's,
yeah,
which is like it. You almost can't like bring up anything that's going on in the world now unless you introduce mind control. And like mind control is like there's so many different levels of mind control.
Yeah.
It's happening every day. And for people to think that you're not impacted by mind control, including us, like if you think that you are not impacted by it, like you're mistaken. So I think that's an important element. And she can share about, because she's written whole books on how she recovered from mind control too, like to like a point where she was someone that had dissociative identity disorder and an intentional compartmentalized brain through through governmental and military mind control, so like to the highest degree. So it kind of shows that someone that can go through that level of mind control also, like like what Rachel's as well, that these people are great examples that the human spirit is so much stronger than any form of mind control that takes place. And it's it's hard to even fathom the experiences those people have had. But I just think that's my main take out of it, is that if they can do it. And she gives a lot of solutions too for overcoming mind control, like practical solutions.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're right, Dale. Like, to be able to hear people's story of what they've overcome, and because the level of mind control that would have been in place for her and like people like Rachel as well, it's crazy to think. And then, like you said, the spirit, the human spirit, like we are so freaking powerful human beings, and like their lights, guiding lights, showing, well, if we can do it, you can do it, like, and it just. I don't know, I draw so much strength from people like Cathy and Rachel and all those sort of people, because they've come so far. They've come so far and they show us what's possible, and it's so powerful, isn't it?
I mean, and she really was the pioneer. Her and a lady called Bryce Taylor, they were the first two really in the world that brought MK Ultra into the public consciousness. Yeah.
And because her husband, Cathy's husband, I think Mark is his name.
I think he's dead
passed away now. Yeah, but he was instrumental in with her as well, being able to.
Well, he knew the mind sciences, and he basically helped her escape. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then she spoke about how key to her deprogramming was actually writing. Writing was her main thing. I've heard a lot of you don't have to be a ritual abuse survivor of government mind control, but it just shows, it's something that I don't do. Maybe I should do is writing down past experiences. And she talks about how it actually it builds certain neurons within the brain.
Yeah.
It starts to connect. It's almost like when we talk, Mads, like about the seen and the unseen. So you're bringing back subconscious memories and putting them into physical reality. And there's actually a process of writing that reconnects pathways, because the brain can never be fully severed. It's always trying to like reconnect memories and stuff. And that's why they'll have breakdowns 20 years after abuse, because those neurons are starting to connect back again.
Yeah. And another thing that I've seen that survivors have done is also like create almost like vision boards of, like, if they're not great at writing, but like getting pictures and words to like create sort of like collages as well. Have you seen people doing that as well?
Yeah.
I think Elise E, she's someone who's done that. She was I was listening to her the other day, and they were just flashing up different boards that she had done. But I do think that writing is extremely powerful, just extremely so powerful. Yeah.
It's like you're manifesting it, isn't it? It's yeah.
So you bring it back into your awareness, like you said. Yeah. Yeah. It's so interesting. That's going to be just so good. And then Stephen and Evan Strong, like Mads, you were saying, like so much of what you were looking into. And then when you came across their work, I think last time we were talking about Australia's Stonehenge and everything like that, Henge or whatever it is. But yeah, they're going to be coming on. So that's going to be so good, bringing in that aspect of it as well.
Mads is like, she's like, we're going for Stephen Evan Strong. And then she's like, got him.
Yeah.
Got it.
Did we, have we asked them before? Did we ask them before?
I'd had an interview. I'd been on an interview with them with Joe in the past, and I had Evan on Facebook. So yeah, it'll be a good chat. They have like the amount of information and stuff that they've put out is actually phenomenal. Like if anyone looks at their website, Forgotten Origin, it is like jam-packed. Like if you've got any question about the, you know, out of Africa theory and how BS it is, like just got like you know, they're archaeologists. So they've got, you know, it's not actually woo-woo. They've actually got a lot of cold hard evidence there, and they've backed it up with a lot of research, and it's incredible. So that's going to be really cool. Yeah, I can't wait to talk to them.
Okay, I'm excited. I like forgot about all that.
I'm so excited.
And they got the rocks as well, like the powerful rocks. Like only, you know, you don't just pick up the rock. No one can just pick up the rock. Like that's going to be awesome as well. Like
Stephen's got like certain rocks that only he can touch, and
that's going to be so good.
Yeah, there's going to be some really good chats. I can't wait. And then David Whitehead.
Yes. Yeah. What's his presentation on? Do you know yet? Or
well, we kind of chatted a little bit because I was thinking when I connected with him, like obviously he works really close with Michael Dzarian, so it was kind of like looking at you know, the individuation and not falling into dogma and falling into like kind of religion and where people get stuck when it comes to, you know, going on this journey that they do and why they get stuck into these cycles. So I kind of, I riffed with him a bit, and he's, going to speak about something around those kind of topics that we're kind of seeing in terms of like people. That's gonna be cool. Yeah, people kind of getting stuck and then falling into, you know, dogma, religion, even New Age, and kind of collective hive mind, you know, entrapment. So that'll be really good because, you know, they talk a lot about individuation, and if you look out in nature, like how important individuation is in nature, like if you just have the same plants all in the same area, they don't thrive as much as when there's actually a diverse ecosystem, because they're all obviously helping each other with nutrients and water and holding water and all the rest of it. So it's very important for us as, you know, human beings to individuate and be authentically who we are for us to actually thrive. So I think it's a big piece. And, you know, we're seeing a lot of people fall into these pockets, like these little groups and cliques and religions, and then literally taking on that identity. It's really interesting to watch. And it's obvious, you look at nature, it's not the way for us to thrive or find balance at all. So I think it needs to be spoken about. And because he has that psychological understanding, that'll be really good to bring that into. Yeah.
Oh, that's going to be so good. And you mentioned just then too, balance. Like I know we talked about this every time we've had you guys have run the conference, is that finding that balance and, you know, obviously the layers, but the balance too. Like that's it's sort of just been encapsulated in every conference, hasn't it?
Yeah. And it's like such a huge principle, like, you know, like you just see how important it is for life and how important it is being on earth, like on many levels as well. And it has been lost, and I lost it for a long time. I was an extremist and I have that tendency. I think that's why I value it so much.
I think it's important. I think it's important to like to experience the extreme side too, because like I see it happening with other people, and I've done it, and you're like,
me too.
Why are they going down that path? It's like sometimes like it can be like a 2, 3, 4 like long discovery of living in one extremes, and what we've seen is they will instead of coming back to middle, they'll jump to another extreme on the other side.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, well, okay, maybe they're not going to come into balance because they have to experience the extreme on the other, and maybe they probably will come back, right? So you got to let people express and go on their own paths too, but we're still going to fucking call it out. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, that's right.
That's
right.
I mean, I feel we've had that talk before, haven't we? That, I mean, I can see the distortions, and it's all, you don't want to be arrogant to say like I've got the truth, but it's like I think I'm right when I say that, you know, being open to everything, just being open to all possibility.
Yeah, I think it's so crucial. I think if we want to actually reach more people with this awareness, especially when it comes to you know, we want to see human potential, right? Like you know, we haven't seen it yet, and there is a possibility that we could see it. It's just that so many people are entrapped in mind control and religion and, you know, kind of this victim perpetrator mentality. Like we can see it, and to experience the other side of that, like, you know, there is the drama of struggle and suffering of the human species, but wouldn't it be incredible to experience the potential and what comes from that as well? That's not so much about the external progress, but like that internal progress again. But yeah, like I just think it's such a crucial part, even just engaging with more people. And I think that's that's on my heart at the moment, because I guess living where I am, like there's a lot of people that really get things, but there's just pieces missing. Like there's just just key pieces missing in it. And I actually went to my first speaking about extremism, I went to my first yoga session for the first time in like 3 years or something the other day, because I went through a phase of like demonizing everything. And I understand now why I demonized it, is because these different practices are being used without the incorporation of natural law principles and the understanding of psychology, and people are using it in a way that it does actually become demonic, in the sense that they are taken over by different parts of their psychology to the point where they lose themselves and they rely on these different things. There's so many ways that it can play out, but I demonized all these different things. And it was really, because I used to actually, like, because I was the other way as well. I used to run yoga sessions when I was like in Wagga, right? So
fucking hell, you've done some
I know. There's even an article about me. I was doing it for mental health in the area. Like volunteer. Anyway,
I was a radio presenter, and yes.
Yeah, if anyone sees my resume, they'll be like, "How old are you? Like 80?" Anyway. Pluto in the 10th house, if anyone understands that, that'll all make sense. But anyway, I went to the class, and like these are all country people that are like connecting with yoga for the first
country yoga.
Wow. Yeah, and it was just so beautiful, like, because I, you know, not very long ago I'd be like, oh god, like here comes the reptilians, you know, like I would have like fully, you know what I mean, like just when she's you know, activating different chakra systems, I'm like, oh god. But it was so beautiful, and it was just like a real reminder of there are these different things there, you know, they've been developed for a reason. Like you just saw some people, just their whole body, like, you know, like there was a girl next to me, and she was like a young teenager, and you can tell she just, you know, like in that stage of life where you're like, I hate life. Like she kind of looked a little bit emo, and you can imagine like in the country, like that kind of eccentric person is someone that really sticks to themselves, and you can tell that she's really put herself out there to go to yoga. And she was really constricted at the start, like couldn't do simple stuff like, you know, what is it called, child's pose and things like that. And by the end of it, like she was smiling, like you could just see that she was back in her body again. And I think the instructor was really good. Like she wasn't too out there. She was really about, you know, connecting back with your breath and your body and all the rest of it. But it was a really cool moment for me to go, like, and just also be a student again. I kind of like pretended I'd never done yoga before, even though I was like a fanatic, not, you know.
You still got it?
What? Still got what? Still got it, you mean? Not really, no.
I mean, we shouldn't, I mean, we love to judge and demonize things we don't know. That's the whole
Well,
point.
I think, well, it's not so much that. I think that it was, and I think this is what I'm coming to it, because I'm seeing it so much with these religious religionists and Christianity, they're demonizing things without really understanding what, for instance, Satanism is. I mean, some of these people are practicing what actual Satanism is.
Most Christians, well, there's like Joel post about this today, and we've been saying it for a long time. Most Christians are Satanists, and unless people actually, and like we have all been Satanists too, and we do satanic things all the time. So if you like complete denial,
because that's the mind control, right? That's being pushed out, and so So anyway, I was just like, I'm coming to this space of like, obviously judging what's right and wrong still, because judgment's so important, but not from this space of like, it's a real
not from a pedestal.
It's an inferiority complex playing out, really. And we all suffer from inferiority complex on one level, because we were born as babies that needed assistance. So it's actually within us. And as a human species, we need each other. We can't just live out on the own. Like, it's actually within our psychology that we are an inferior race. I mean, this is why AI exists, is why technology exists, is why all these safety guards exist, because we have that psychology within us, and it's perpetuated. And instead of trusting and connecting with, this higher understanding, we've disconnected from that and create anxiety, and then so on and so forth, right? So that's where it's coming from.
There's going to be the perfect discussion with Anneke, because this is like what her whole presentation's about.
Yeah, exactly, projecting up and down, because that's like, it's a big part of why we live in the world that we live. But anyway, so my point in my story is that I'm stepping into this new space, like balance, but also like just full student, student, and just listening with like really like listening for the truth, listening from my heart rather than, whatever other place it wants to go.
Well, you both said that last time. It's just like going in with a clean slate, like and being I mean, I think you do anyway, but just all like, we're forever the students. Like, we're teachers, but we're students as well, aren't we? And that's just being so open to everything that comes through. And I just think, and it's so synchronistic too that Anneke is going to be speaking about the projection thing, because like for me personally, I heard someone talk about it in a YouTube video. It wasn't to do with anything like this. I think it was like they'd read a book and they were like a business video or something. And they were talking about the vertical and horizontal is how they said it. And I was like, oh my gosh, yes, like that happens so much. So that's going to be such a chunky presentation. I can't wait for that one. Yeah.
Because that's kind of what our system's like built on. Whereas, you
can't just have upward projection. You need to have both to keep that false dichotomy going. I mean, that's how it just feeds itself.
Because that's right, because actually the other side of it is, and you can see this kind of playing out, is this kind of we are equal to animals and plant life and all of that. And on one level, we all have a spirit, but then that actually diminishes the fact that we have a consciousness and we hold morality where the animals and the plants, etc., don't, and we have a responsibility. So therefore there's a level of not so much that we are higher than them, but we are actually we're in a different plane to them in a sense, and we have a responsibility to care for country, to care for the animals. Whereas when we become this equal playing field, which a lot of like veganism, what else?
Yeah,
like
it's built on that, isn't it?
Yeah, and like that kind of like we are all one, that unity, stuff that they're kind of bringing in with the UN and all of that kind of thing. You can see again, it's like you need balance with that as well, because you need to also honor that we have the ability to progress our consciousness and have awareness and know the truth and apply it. Animals don't, plants don't. Yes, they can reveal us natural laws, but they don't actually have that moral compass like we do. So that's our responsibility in terms of like how we then care and create balance. Like the tribal people speak about all the time, and then it can be interpreted in a certain way. We're equal to animals, we're equal to plants. We are on a spirit level, but when we're actually in this space, we do have a responsibility. So it's like, again, that balance is so important, because
it is, isn't it? Far out.
Yeah, it's good that you mentioned that, Dale, like, because it's not so much like just one or the other.
Yeah, and you spoke the other day, actually, Mads was talking about being on country and all that sort of stuff, that you met the king.
I met
You met the king.
The king.
The king. I had to
met
bring
the
that back
king.
up because that was so cool.
Well, he said, I don't
I've
think that
met,
was
I've met the
story.
king of Pottsville. He sits out the front of the IGA every day and reads the paper.
The king of
Is that
Pottsville.
your dad?
He's
or-
like the only person in 2024
Oh.
that buys a paper. Like he buys it every day.
Really?
Anyway, go on. Yeah, let's tell me about the king.
Tell me about the king. Like you haven't heard it 4 times.
I'll pretend I haven't heard it. Tell me about the king. Oh, we did. This actually did. You didn't get it in the recording last time, anyway.
No,
No.
no, that's so true. We didn't. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So I put it out there. I mean, obviously when I moved here, that was my intention, but I wasn't like full, like, let's make this happen. I complained a few times to anyone that would listen. And then I got really in that, like, I need to actually know. And I think, I can't remember where I was explaining this, but it's kind of like not knowing the story now after living in the Pilbara and learning the story for literally every area I went to, I knew the story. So there was a deep connection there, right? And it's different to just having an appreciation for nature and being in nature and being in that kind of like, you know, that kind of coherent state, you know, being in those areas. It's so different when you know the story, because then you start to see the story revealed to you in trees and plants and where things grow, and it's just incredible, and it's this whole other level. So since that, it's actually ruined traveling experiences for me. I'm not gonna lie, like it actually has. I have not traveled anywhere near the amount that I used to in WA, like site visiting, because it's not the same anymore. I said to Clint, actually, I was like, you've actually ruined traveling for me. Like, thank you. Like, I just don't even want to anymore. Anyway, put it out there and went to this like heritage tour. It was no good. They showed me some boomerangs and that was about it. And made the guy awkward because I referred to the invasion as the war, and like settlement and all that as the war. And he looked at me like I'd slapped him. That was pretty funny.
And you got to meet these people in the middle. You're being provocative.
I was being provocative. No, I wasn't being provocative. I just wanted to see what
you
his
wanted to put it out
reaction
there.
was.
I get it.
Yeah.
I wanted to see what his reaction was when I said the war, because I was like, oh, were these used in the war? And he like looked at me like, what war? Like, because he was telling me about World War I for about 5 hours. No, not 5 hours, but you know. And he was like, what war? And I was like, oh, the war of, you know, when we came here. And then, yeah, he was like, oh, no, they were battling amongst themselves before we came, and then we had rifles. So there was no, you know. I was like, well, that's bullshit, because you can even see in the history that they set up settlement at 1 year, like 1 year, whenever it was, and it wasn't until 10 years later that they actually started activities. So sorry, what happened in those 10 years? Can you know, go into that story? No, I didn't say that, obviously. I didn't bring that up, but I was like, it's pretty clear. And there was even like some, I don't know who he was, some highfalutin guy came through and he got totally ambushed and got pushed back again. So how long did that go for, and what actually happened? But it's, you know, it wasn't spoken about. Anyway, put it out there. Anyway, decided I wanted to go fishing. So I took my friend to this cute little town. We had lunch and then we went, and I was like, oh, we'll go down to this area. I love it here. And it's sort of like this little joining point where there's like a river and then a creek. And we were there for all of like 2 minutes. I'd thrown a line in, and I actually thought, as I threw the line in, I was like, I'm never going to catch a fish until I meet, you know, a TO here, like a traditional owner here. And I remember like there was this full gust of wind when I kind of had that thought. And then, yeah, not long later, he pulls up with his dogs and gets out of the car. And within about, 15 minutes, we worked out he was from that land, because we were kind of talking, and I said, oh, my hubby knows a tribal guy around, is friends with a tribal guy that's been around here a long time. And he said that the river used to be full clear, you know, quite a long time ago, and you could just fish constantly. And you sort of saw, I'd kind of tested to see if he was, because, you know, he was tan. So I was like, you know, he might be, he might not be. Because, you know, I think I said last time, like half the farmers here look like rubber boot, like, you know, leather boots. Like they're so like pig skin, as they'd say in the Pilbara. But anyway, and his ear sort of pricked up, and he kept talking about another story. And then he goes, yeah, I used to live on a shack just down the river there. And I go, oh, really? And he goes, yeah. And when they came, when we were kids, we'd see the lights on he just said when they came, we'd see the lights on the hill, And when we saw the lights coming down, we'd all scatter and hide so that we weren't taken. And I go, huh. And Rachel goes, taken. I was like, are you a tribal guy? Wait, this is your land. And he was like probably a bit taken aback, because I was like, oh, are you a tribal man? Something. And I was like, this is your land. And he was like, yeah, this is I guess this is my land. And so yeah, that was pretty cool. And Rachel was like, because she'd obviously not heard, my friend, she'd obviously not heard many stories. She was like, what? The kids were like, they would take, how old are you? Like, she was just like, but like I've heard this, like, stolen generation wasn't that long ago. Even the Pilbara, I knew someone that was taken from their mum and she was only in her 40s,
Oh, wow.
So yeah, so it really didn't happen that long ago. But yeah, so they were talking about that kind of thing for a while, and then he spoke about his grandfather. He said he was very important in the area, like on that land, on that country, and he he said he was like the tribal king, or he was like the chief, I think he said. And I was like, oh, so your dad's dad. And I was like, so does that make you? Or like Rachel was like, so you're the chief. Yeah, so we were chuffed. Anyway, had a good yarn, and yeah, told us about some caves to check out later, and yeah.
Haven't checked them out yet?
No, we've got it's like 100 years since the war, since settlement here, and they're doing all these like events and things around. So I think there's one this weekend, and he said, if we drop by, he'll be able to give us a number to this guy who can take us up to the caves. And it's not you can't access it, like it's not public access, it's actually on someone's property. And there's all of this rock art and everything all around. It's right in a river. Yeah. So that's going to be pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, he was interesting. Like, he knew bits and pieces, like he told us different, like what certain things meant, different birds and things like that. But he didn't know much about like where we were fishing, like the stories around there, like Dreamtime stories and stuff. So a lot was lost here. Like I think a lot more than, well, I mean, evidently a lot more than the Pilbara. Like I know so many desert, mobs that have like kept the story going, like stories going for, yonky donks, but here it's been lost, which sucks really. But
Yonky donks.
Yonky donks.
Yonky donks, yeah.
That's a new one. It's a technical term, isn't it? Yonky donks.
Oh yeah, that's a technical term.
Oh, that's so good that happened. Like it was going to happen. You set that intention, like you were pretty clear on that.
Well, I reached my hero's journey moment of giving up. Actually, I was like, I'm just going to be like learning through spirit. Like I'm just never going to connect with it. Yeah, and I was like, that's it. They're done. Because I'd called I'd been given a number of an auntie. She's like so does cultural awareness training and stuff like that. And I called her multiple times, left messages. Text messaged her, like didn't hear back, and I was like, right, this is not happening. Anyway. Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool. That's
reached
so
that
cool.
moment.
Yeah.
Onwards and upwards. Yeah.
Surrendered, let it go. Yeah. So good.
Mm.
I'm just looking down at is there anyone we haven't mentioned? Like we've got Will Keller coming back on. I'm saying Will. And yeah, he's going to do a presentation as well. Like he's been on all of them, hasn't he? So do you know what?
He gave us such a long list, actually.
Okay, so you haven't chosen one yet?
Well, it was hard to pick. We ended up going with balance, but I wanted to talk about love.
Oh. Balance and love. Tell us more.
I said, can we combine it somehow? I don't know.
Yeah, I can't remember. I did say that though, didn't I?
It was like love, eros, and something else. I mean, all of the presentations.
I mean, they'd all be good.
All of them. But the one that was just so fitting. It was like living in balance and homeostasis within self and the earth, or something like that. So I was like, we've kind of got to do that, especially after talking to Clint.
Yeah. So Clint's first on, is he? Yeah. Or
yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. And and Tom as well. Tom Barnett's coming back on as well too, and he's going to do a presentation.
Yeah, I think he's doing a presentation this time. can't remember whether we decided on anything. Did we decide on anything, Dale? I think I might have asked him maybe. I can't remember.
Oh shit, Narita, you're speaking at Living Free Festival too.
Yes.
I saw you on there. Yeah,
Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
my gosh, what are you speaking about?
I don't know yet.
Oh, damn.
Do you guys know yet? Do you know
Hey,
what?
I was like, I went through his thing, and he's put a picture on there, and they're like, could you have like picked the worst picture of me, Tom? He's got like me sitting like here with a fucking.
Oh, what do I look like? What picture did he use for me?
No, yeah, yours is shit too. It's just like from screen. No, like
What?
not you look.
What picture is it?
I don't
haven't
know.
even
It's just
seen
like
it.
just you.
So what are we
Anyway.
talking about?
I don't know. We'll have to. I guess we'll see. We'll see what comes up.
Yeah, I think it'll be in the theme of what's going on there anyway. So yeah, should be good. Get to meet you guys in real life and
Oh, yeah.
real life.
We haven't met you, have you?
Yeah, that'd be
So
good.
what are you gonna fly?
Yeah, I'll probably fly over, I reckon. Yeah.
Ballina probably, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's an hour from Brisbane, isn't it?
No, it's between. I think he said it's between Byron and Coss.
Okay.
Ballina.
Oh,
great. There's some really good camping spots around there. Fantastic.
Yeah. No, it should be good. It should be good. It's a few months away, but it'll be here in a flash, I reckon. Totally. Yeah.
I'll be getting my driver's license back then, so it'll be sweet.
Excellent. Oh, that's gold.
What are you doing in the meantime? You're just gonna
Actually, I might not have it back by then. You might have to pick me up, Mads, for the.
what up north?
Does like a full
Bit of a
round
detour.
trip. Bit of a detour.
I'll pick you up from Rocky if you get down to Rocky.
No.
Well, then I'm not picking you up.
I'm like so sitting here pretending I know the geography so well. Like, yeah, I know what you're talking about. I'm just like trying to picture it. I'm like,
Are
no.
you going up to Cairnsdale? Or you're not doing that anymore?
Well, mate, I'm honest. I'm tossing up between there and Thailand again. I've had like my brother's like, go to Thailand, you dickhead. What are you're not going to farm? So it made me start thinking, and
Oh,
I don't know.
Oh.
I'll
back to Thailand again.
No, I need to decide on Monday. I'll give myself to Monday.
He's probably going to go to Thailand. It's
I
already
reckon
there.
he will. He will, won't he? He's
I don't
laughing.
Begin the cycle again.
Yeah.
I don't.
Can't get out of the comfort zone.
No, I need to break. I need to break the pattern.
You won't.
Could there be anywhere else but
I'm
Thailand?
going to do it in spite now. I'm going to do it in spite of you saying that. Don't tell me I won't. I'll literally do something I hate in spite. Okay, I shouldn't end on that.
Such a tourist.
I'm joking.
So when does the conference start? It's next week. It's when this comes out, it'll be this week.
Yeah, 8th of May.
8th of May. That's a Wednesday, isn't it? Yep.
Wednesday, yeah. So we'll be doing a welcome intro, get to know everyone call.
Yep.
And then we'll have Clint on Sunday.
Beautiful. That's awesome. And so the Sundays are the guest speakers and then Wednesday?
Generally, but I think there's one where we swap
around.
them because it worked better for the guest speaker, but otherwise, yeah. So
yeah,
it'll be Wednesday chats, Sunday, yeah.
Awesome. And then the community to be open pretty soon, like for that as well.
Yeah, the Telegram, yeah.
Yep. Awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so good. And yeah, so if you are watching this and you are like, haven't got your ticket yet, or you like want to join, because you absolutely should, it's going to be phenomenal. There will be a link in the description, so click through to that. And if you are excited, put the code Rock the Ripple in and you'll get a discount, which is very exciting as well. And yeah, I mean, is there anything else you guys want to cover before we sort of wrap up, like that we haven't touched on, or anything like that?
Did you record?
Yeah, funny. It's still so I keep looking up at it going, please be recording. Oh my gosh. Oh, out of all the people though, really. Hey, you got nothing else?
I don't think so. No.
Not
really.
Yeah,
come join if you wanna come in. Like I think people get a lot out of it. The ones that have that stay the course and take everything on board. Like I think it's definitely beneficial. And it's grown from where it was. It's it's gonna be great.
Yeah, really is, isn't it, Mads? Yeah, Yeah.
I cannot wait.
Yeah, it's going to be so good. So, well, with that said, then I just want to say to you listening at home, thank you so much for being here with Dale, Mads and I. It's been a ripper of a conversation. I'm so grateful I hit record, which is just a really awesome thing. Thank you for being here for that. And as always, if you like the show, please give it a rating, give it a thumbs up, a comment, all that sort of stuff. Always love hearing from you, and just thank you so much for being here. Dale and Mads, thank you guys for being here as well, and just being absolute champions and doing this all again. I bloody love you guys. So yeah, just thanks for being here, and thanks for putting on the Sky to Earth conference and the podcast. But yeah, I can't wait for the 8th to kick off now. It's going to be awesome.
Thanks so much for having us. Love
Thanks,
yarning
Narita.
with you.
Yeah.
Glad we could do a double.
Do a double. It's been great. It was my secret plan all along. Oh, thanks, guys.
See you, mate.